Coming to you from both California and Alabama, my name is Sasquatch, his name is Denton, and somehow, through modern technology, we are coming into your ears.
We are still social distancing ourselves. I haven't seen Sasquatch ever. We were doing this social distancing thing way before anybody else was doing it.
Yeah, we were cool before everybody else was cool.
Yeah.
Maybe we should be wearing masks,
we still get together. Huh?
Maybe we should be wearing masks.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, next show, let's wear masks.
All right. Some people...
Yep. Yeah. I've noticed, though, since people are starting to wear masks at work, the place looks 75% better. Mm-hmm. Nice. And those listening that work out there, you know who I'm talking about.
I bet you
could be you. I don't know.
They're all getting a chuckle right now. And then they're like, wait a second, are you talking about me?
All righty. Well, since we are in this corona thing, hard and heavy.
Yeah.
Lockdowns, can't go nowhere, can't do anything. What do you think about that, Sass?
I think we didn't want to just do a sort of a regurgitation of what you're already hearing on the news, because you're already hearing just enough junk out there. But I suggested to Denton that we make this show about rights, and the rights that you may be losing during this pandemic, outbreak, whatever you want to call it. Also, if you don't care about the rights, and you're like, oh, that's okay, I don't care, maybe you should. Because if they can do it for something like this, what makes you think they can't or won't do it for something else?
That is so true. And not only that, if you notice in our past, for example, the Patriot Act, what they take away, they don't really like giving back.
Nope.
So if you think it's okay now, well, whatever you lose, if you get anything back, it won't be much, and it'll be very much controlled.
Well, and okay, so right now here in California, we're going through a heat wave. It started last Thursday and is expected to go for another week or so. 80 and 90 degree weather. And everybody's supposed to be sheltering at home on the weekend. Well, it's a beautiful weekend. They've got the beaches closed down, the trails closed down. They pretty much have everything closed down. So a bunch of people decided, you know what, screw you, we're going to the beach. And they went to the beaches. Our beaches were packed this weekend. Well, today, Governor Newsom gets on the TV and wags his finger and says, now, boys and girls, you're not following my orders. And you really need to start following, because if you don't, the big bad corona is going to come get you. And you might die. And if it gets you, we may have to extend this shelter-at-home order. And really what he said basically was, he basically said, if you don't do what I say, I'll extend the order. And to me, I'm like, well, wait a second. You can't extend it just because we're not doing what you say. Now, if we don't do what you say and it gets worse, then yeah, you can extend it. But that's not what he was saying. He was saying, you do what I say or I'll make it even longer. Basically, like, you're talking back to your parents and they go, all right, you're grounded for a week. And you keep talking back and they go, all right, 2 weeks. Well, I mean, this guy thinks he's our parent. And to me,
I'll say Papa Gavin thinks he's your daddy. Yeah,
and to me, that is a tyrant.
Yep.
So let me start off here. I have this, let me see where it's at here. Throughout the entire coronavirus pandemic, the California legislature has taken a back seat. Governor Gavin Newsom has taken the charge, issuing an alarming number of executive orders. Some of his orders have included shutting down businesses, move local elections to strictly vote by mail. A Democrat doing that. Imagine that. Spend more money on homeless shelters, altered court proceedings, and has provided benefits for essential workers. Since March 4th, the day California announced its first death from coronavirus, Newsom has signed 32 executive orders. His powers are essentially virtually without limit, said Steve Merksamer, a Sacramento political consultant. The only real limitation besides the Constitution is common sense. Now, I don't know. I got thinking about this, and maybe you can school me. Maybe you don't know, Den, but does the government, local, have the right to make us stay somewhere?
I'm glad you asked that. Let's look at it from the constitutional point of view. We have rights. We have unalienable rights. It's not inalienable. It's unalienable rights. Okay, freedom to travel. It's one of our rights. Freedom of speech, all those things. Those are rights that the founding fathers said, you know what? These are the basic. This is the foundation for everything else. Okay, if we don't have this, we don't have anything else. So now the question is, does a state or a local government have more power than the federal government when it comes to our rights? Can they take away our rights? The answer is no. No, they cannot.
They only have the power to do what the federal doesn't have the power to do, correct?
Do what now?
The states only have the power, like if it's not the federal's job, then the state has the job to do it, right?
Right. The only thing that the federal government's supposed to do is exactly what the Constitution says for it to do. But again, they can't violate our rights any more than the federal government can. So no, he can't tell you you got to stay at home. You are now imprisoned in your own home because I say so. Where'd that come from? Where is that constitutional? Like you said, he's a tyrant.
Well, I found this little thing here. It's real quick. It was called Things Government Cannot Do. Now, the government cannot keep you from practicing any religion you choose. The government cannot keep you from joining together peacefully with others to express your views. That is the First Amendment. The government cannot take away your life, liberty, or property without following the law. That's the Fifth Amendment. The government cannot punish you for a crime in a cruel or unusual way. That's the Seventh. It seems like they're doing all of those things.
Yeah.
I mean,
instead of going to work where you should be, you're forced to be with your family.
Yeah, that's cruel. Cruel. But, it's happened a lot of times. You and I have talked about it. They say, okay, well, the guy that shakes the salt on the fries at McDonald's, he's an essential worker, so he can go out. But Joe Blow down the street that makes women's purses, he's not essential, so he has to stay in. Well, why is that? Why are fries more important than the guy that makes purses, and who gets to decide that?
Because the state governors said this, and they are so smart.
But I don't think they have the power to do that, to decide who's essential and who's not.
Oh, I agree. We should have. There are a lot of folks aren't too damn bright, and they probably need to be told what to do. But by and large, we're not stupid. There's a virus going on. The flu comes around once a year. What do? Stay away from people, right? Mm-hmm. Wash your hands. Somebody sneezes at Walmart, you hook a left or a right and get away from that individual. You don't want to breathe in what he just sneezed out.
I mean, I would have been okay if the government here said, okay, we got this problem going on. You can all keep your businesses open, but we need to have some rules while this is going on. The 6-foot distancing, the masks, and I don't think they should be able to enforce that. They should just recommend it. It should be up to the company or the business to decide if they want to do that.
If the government's going to tell me I must wear a mask, then the government has to provide that mask for me.
Well, I think that's a good point.
Don't tell me that I have to go buy one if this is what you want me to do.
And we've also seen where they've said, I'm trying to think of what. Well, I know you'll know. Where they said that people can't go to church, even if they social distance or if they do it in a drive-in theater and sit in their cars, but other people can do this. So, I mean, how do they make that? That's, I'm not stupid. I know how they do it because they're tyrants and they do whatever they want. But I don't see where it jives and why people are putting up with it.
Well, why do they tell us you can't go to church? You can't even go into a drive-in church. Okay, sit in the parking lot. Yet, go to Walmart. I say Walmart because in my town we ain't got much more. or Dollar General, whatever. And there's cars in the parking lot. What's the difference?
Well, just like the picture I put on the YouTube from last week, it was me going to Home Depot, and there was a line of at least 100 people standing there waiting to get in. Everybody was approximately 6 foot apart, but still, how is that any different than people going to church wearing masks and singing their hymns and reading the gospel? I mean, I don't understand.
And where did 6 feet come? By the way, this has been bugging me. 6 feet. Is that magic?
Okay.
Where's the sense in that? I mean, the CDC I read a couple of weeks ago, they suggest 21 feet. That makes better sense. But you go to Walmart, you're walking through the store, whatever store you want to go to, and somebody coughs 20 feet in front of you, and he's walking. but you're also walking, and then you catch up, and now you breathed in what he caught.
You walk into the mist.
Yeah, exactly. So, the whole thing is just use common sense is all. That's what the government should, that's the only thing the government should say is, these are the facts about this particular virus. We're going to tell you straight up. We're not going to lie to you. And this is what we suggest you do. But above all else, use common sense. They shouldn't say anything else.
Yeah, but the governments don't have common sense, so they wouldn't know to tell us to use common sense.
Right. We only vote for the people who run for office. And they're running for office not because they want to uphold and protect the Constitution, but they're lazy pieces of crap that don't want to work for a living.
Yeah, long lunches, extra benefits, all that good stuff. No, and
that's why Joe Biden.
Well, he's got plenty of nubile women to grope. That's why he's excited for it. No, another thing that really bugs me too is Gavin Newsom. Like when this whole thing started, I mean, there's a ton of things that bug me about it, but for one, they used data that was just faulty, and they never admitted it. They just kept moving forward with everything. But when this thing first started, our governor said, "Okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to shut everything down: the schools, the sporting events, everything. It's getting shut down except for what's essential, what we say is essential, and we're doing this for two reasons: to what's that saying everybody says? To bend the curve, straighten, flatten the curve, mitigate. Yeah, that's one, and the other reason is so we don't overwhelm the hospitals." Okay, so here we are, month later, a little over a month later. We have mitigated, we've flattened the curve, at least here in California, and the hospitals are not overrun. In fact, they're empty and they're sending doctors home. So there we go. We just hit the two criteria. Let's stop. But no, now he's saying, oh no, we got to go even longer. So it was until... Let's see, it was going to be the end of March, and then it was going to be April 15th, and that didn't happen. Now, it's like a war zone around here. And then they moved it to, what are we in now, April? Yeah.
Yeah.
So now it's been moved to May. And then they said, well, maybe we need to go to May 15th. Well, then they're going to come and say, well, maybe we need to go to June. And it's like, the only reason they're doing this is because they like having that power. There's no.
Well, let's face it.
There's no real reason to do it.
No, there's not. As a matter of fact, I was reading something a couple of days ago that suggested that the places that did not do grand tyrannical lockdowns are faring much better. What do you call that? Herd immunity or something like that?
Yeah.
Herd. Just who's going to be the hardest hit? The old people with medical issues. You protect them. Everybody else get to work.
Speaking of that, this number might be staggering to you. 40% of the COVID deaths in California were in assisted living facilities. That's almost half of the deaths here. So if you take those out, because really those people were headed in that direction anyway. I mean, it's sad that they died. I don't want to make it sound cruel or crass, but they were the ones that we needed to protect, and we didn't, and they all died. But if you take that out of the equation, we have even less deaths here in California, and yet they're ramping up the rhetoric, the propaganda, whatever, and it doesn't make any sense. And I don't understand why people are just going, okay, whatever you say, okay.
Well, I think there's a couple of things going on. I don't care how many nice things Trump says about Gavin Newsom. Gavin is still a liberal Democrat. He's still a commie. He's a wannabe tyrant. He probably looks at, what's his name, Kim Jong-un over in North Korea and wants to call him and say, hey, how do you do this? I want to do that too.
Give me some pointers.
But they all want to get rid of Trump. So what do? Trump was running on a beautiful economy, lowest unemployment in ever. Everything was golden. So they had to destroy it.
Well, and it's a win-win for them because this is what they do. They get rid of Trump, but they also, this is what Democrats and communists and socialists do, is they cause the problem and then come in to save you from it. And that's exactly what they're doing. They're ruining the economy, and then they're going to come in and go, oh, it's okay, we'll save you. We're going to give you money, and we're going to give you food, and we'll give you everything, but you're going to have to do what we say.
Yeah, and people that's doing minimum minimum wage jobs. They're sent home. They even get to go home. They can say, I just quit. But right now, they're still going to get unemployment. And they're going to get that extra unemployment. Why? They have no incentive to work.
Mm-hmm.
So we, the taxpayers, are paying for all this crap. Okay, they're killing industry. They're killing businesses. Small businesses are the bread and butter of this country. And there are a lot of those businesses that will never come back. All to get rid of the president.
Speaking of which, I am going to get my hair cut tomorrow because I saw a place that's open.
I'm tempted to fly out there.
Well, I got a couch here. You can crash on the couch for a haircut.
We have nothing is open. No barbershops, salons, that kind of crap. My hair's getting to the point where I should probably go to a salon.
Got to get one of those Flobies.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah. That's and I think my barber is pretty smart. Okay, I think he's pretty doggone smart. He would know hey, everybody sit in your cars, give me your phone numbers, I'll call you when it's your turn.
Mm-hmm.
There's an idea right there. But no, he doesn't have the opportunity to do that or work through problems on his own because the almighty government says, you gotta shut down. Oh, great. So, again, like you said, I'm going to tip the crap out of him because, you sit there and do the math and figure out how in the world does he feed 4 kids and his wife with what he charges for a haircut. And it takes, 30 minutes for a haircut?
Mm-hmm.
So they are trying to kill barbers. They want us all to be hippies.
Well, I'm sure in the re-education camps they'll shave our heads.
I'm sure they will. Oh, speaking of which, you're talking about religion.
Mm-hmm.
The government cannot tell us. This is from CNN. New York City, I don't know if you heard about this, New York City will distribute 500,000 free halal meals to Muslims during Ramadan.
Oh, well, that's nice.
Now, this is the same city that threatened to permanently close churches and synagogues if people went to church. Okay? But when it comes to Muslims, hey, we're going to kiss their butts. The coronavirus, Kung flu pandemic has turned life upside down for many New Yorkers, including those who wish to safely practice their faiths. First off, just cut the fluff out and tell me what you're going to tell me. Muslims who began the holy month of Ramadan on Thursday are no exception. Wait a minute, you didn't say anything nice about the Christians, the Jews, during Passover, during Easter. Anyway, the holy month, it's not a whole, anyway, involving fasting from sun up to sundown. Charity and prayer is typically celebrated as a community. But due to social distancing, that's not possible this year.
Well, wait a second. If they fast from sun up to sundown, why are they giving them food?
Well, I guess when the sun goes down, they want to eat.
Oh, well, yeah, I guess so.
And if the infidel is paying for that meal, it'll taste even that much better.
Oh, I'm sure.
To help families celebrate, especially those who've lost income due to the shutdowns, New York City has announced plans to serve more than 500,000 halal meals to Muslims during Ramadan. Why is it that New York City is showing preference to Islam?
Wait a second. Let's go back just a second to what you just said. Due to businesses being shut down and people losing their jobs, New York has decided to prepare 500,000 halal meals for Muslims.
Right.
So you're telling me that 500,000 Muslims lost their jobs?
No, I'm just saying that 500,000 Muslims are going to be eating off the other people's dime.
No, I know, but it doesn't make sense. They said because of X, Y, and Z, this is why we're doing this, but the two have nothing to do with each other.
Right. That's beside the point. This is CNN.
Oh, well, that's true.
My point is, okay, this country is founded on Christianity. Pure and simple. That's where common law comes from. Our understanding of right and wrong is from the Christian faith.
Well, now you can see why the Democrats don't care about right or wrong.
Right, exactly. So de Blasio has nothing but scorn and contempt for Christians and Jews, but he's going to kiss a Muslim butt. This is a little bit sickening. If we have anybody in New York City that's listening to us, please send your mayor a love letter for us. Oh, by the way, if you want to contact us, you can contact us at dentonandsasshow@gmail.com. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And also, you can go to prepperforums.net if you want to see where we usually hang out and stir up trouble and talk about the end times and hoarding guns and ammo and food and whatnot.
And COVID-19.
And if you have any good points. Huh?
And COVID-19.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's one or two threads at prepperforums.net that is about COVID-19. Believe that or not. Okay, I didn't mean to derail what you're saying there, so I just wanted to throw this little Muslim thing out there. Carry on, if you like.
Well, I don't remember what my thought was then, but I do have another little something here. Let's see. Can government force me to stay somewhere against my will? Now, this was written when the whole Ebola virus thing was big, so, sort of substitute the word Ebola for COVID, but in the lead news story, most nights, people who have been exposed to the Ebola virus are being kept in isolation and forced into quarantines at home. The argument is that this is done to protect the general public, but can a government do this even when there are questions as to whether or not the person even has the illness? Says they can, and here's why. The Public Health Service Act of 1944 gives the federal government the right to enact a quarantine to contain infectious people from other countries. The Center for Disease Control is the agency charged with implementing any of these decisions. The CDC is able to detain, medically examine, and release people whom they have suspected carrying certain diseases. States are generally allowed to enact any type of legislation where federal laws do not cover. States also have what are called police powers, which allow them to take any action to protect the health, safety, and welfare of its citizens. That being said, even if the federal government does not issue a quarantine, a state may decide to do so. Many times these powers translate into the government being able to restrict people's movements when they have reason to believe that a person may be carrying a disease, even if they have no symptoms. In the case of Ebola, what makes this tricky is issues issues that symptoms may not show up for 21 days. Let me see what else. It says, is this common and what are some states doing now? It is not common at all. The last time any type of federal government quarantine was used was during the Spanish flu pandemic of 1918-1919. Some states are imposing 21-day quarantines because that is how long it typically takes for someone who has Ebola to show symptoms, yada, yada, yada. But still, it's just...
So they used a bunch of words to say that because a statute was passed, the Constitution is ineffective. That's basically what it comes down to. They're saying somebody passed a statute, and now we don't have to pay attention to individual rights.
Yeah, and okay, and this is another thing that came up yesterday. I had to run into CVS. You guys have CVS there, right?
Oh, yeah.
All right, so CVS, and all right, a side note, our CVSs here are now called CVS EMAS. Not just CVS.
What?
CVS EMAS. Now,
what's that?
For those of you that don't know, EMAS is Spanish for and more. So our CVSs are now Spanish. But that's another topic for another show. Anyway, on the door, it said something about... to enter this facility, you must be wearing a mask. It is the law. And I took a picture of it. In fact, I'll probably put it up as the YouTube picture. But I was like, when did that become law?
Have you read anything about it being a law other than that sign?
I haven't. I mean, I guess it could be an emergency ordinance, but a law?
I thought laws were passed through... Well, and I guess with a city council or something.
Yeah, I mean, in typical times, yeah, it's got to go through the legislature and the state and everything. I suppose. Right. I suppose now, since Gavin Newsom has the emergency powers, he can just do whatever he wants. Like that little story I read earlier, he's issued 32 EOs, in a month. And one of the things I read there was one of them was. He did an EO saying we're gonna make more housing for the homeless. It's like, well, okay, this pandemic will be over by the time you get done building that stuff. So how is that part of this?
Well, you misunderstood. He's just going to pass out really new, nice cardboard boxes.
Maybe.
Yeah, if you have nothing, then that's a house. So you couldn't go in without a mask.
Yeah, and I mean that's pretty typical around here. It's no big deal. I somewhat agree with it if it's the store's policy, because it's their store and they can do what they want. So you want me to wear a mask? Fine, and I'll wear a mask when I go inside there. But for them to tell me it's a law that I have to do it, that sort of rubs me the wrong way.
Do you have a drive-through there?
Yeah, we got the drive-thrus.
Yeah, I'm doing everything drive-through.
Well, that's probably a good idea.
Yeah, I do the drive-through thing. Walmart pickup is wonderful, except for the substitutions.
Well, you know what? All right, here's another issue that sort of grinds my gears about this whole thing. California is a huge state. Everybody knows that. Now, there are certain pockets where we've had a lot of the coronavirus, or most of it, like San Francisco, L.A., a little bit in San Diego. And that is because there are more people crammed into that little area. So, of course, more people are going to catch it easier. But we have other parts of the state here where you don't have a neighbor for a mile. The thing is, the people are being told, in the middle of L.A., they're telling them the same thing they're telling the guy who has to drive 30 minutes to get to the store. And that doesn't make sense to me either. It's like you need to take a nuanced approach to this and say, look, if you're not around a lot of people, then you're cool. Do what you want. Open your stores. No big deal. I mean, there's a place up north that I think altogether in their county, they have like 14 people with the coronavirus and 0 deaths. But they are locked down just like LA is. And that makes no sense to me.
Well, it does if you want to control the entire population.
And that's what I'm saying. That's what it seems like to me. They're more worried about controlling everybody than doing what is necessary to help everybody move along. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. It makes total sense. And it makes you wonder what's going to be the end of this. How's it going to look?
Well,
is there going to be an end?
Another thing, Gavin Newsom, he made his 6 pillars of what we need to go back to normal society. Well, 2 of those pillars are impossible to meet. So what does that tell you?
What are they?
Well, one of them is have a vaccine for this thing, and the other one is to be able to, I forget how they worded it, like isolate who has it and know who has it and get them isolated from everybody else. And it's like, eventually we may get a vaccine, but that could take 2 or 3 years. So is he expecting to push this thing on for 2 or 3 years, or we all got to sit in our houses?
Well, he's enjoying the crap out of this, but that's the thing about it. Quarantine. They have the right to quarantine us. Anybody who has the disease or could possibly have the disease. Mm-hmm. Well, how do you know if somebody has a disease? Well, we'll just test everybody. Well, that's going to be kind of expensive. Okay, but you test me now, and then tomorrow somebody coughs in front of me, and I'm not aware of it. And then I got it. Okay, but I passed the test 2 days ago.
Well, there you go.
And another thing with the immunization thing, like we talked about last time, they figure there are already 30 strains of this and counting. Okay, it's a coronavirus, just like the common cold. Well, why can't we have a vaccine for the common cold? Because there are so many strains of it. That's why. Some hit you hard, some don't really hit you hard. But how do you make a vaccine for hundreds and hundreds of strains of the common cold? Can't do it. Now, as this thing goes along, it could be up to 40 strains of it now. Who knows? Who knows how many strains there's going to be when it's all said and done? Mm-hmm. Now, do we keep on being locked down, kill the economy? Oh, let's keep on trucking stupidly for a year. Who's going to be feeding us all? Okay, the Chinese? No, so this doesn't really make sense. You got to face your fears, pull up your big boy pants, and get back to work.
Well, what you just said a little while ago about all right, you get tested, and then 2 days later somebody sneezes on you and you catch it, right? Well, that's where they're talking about. And even Fauci said this, that, well, we may have to have cards that say, oh, yeah, you're good to go. And you'll have to carry your card around, and if police ask you for it, you have to show them. And it's like, no.
Papers, please.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know about anybody else, but to me, that's sort of where you draw the line.
Now, along with all this fear, you may not watch TV. I don't really. I just turn it on so I have something to knock out the barking dogs in the neighborhood as I read. But you flip over to Fox News. It used to be Fox Politics, I called it. Now it's Corona Fox.
Yeah, they've gone the way of CNN and all the rest, where they're just scaring everybody.
Yeah, you flip over to any of those cable channels, news channels, and all it is about the virus. How they continue to talk about it over, and it's a virus. Good gosh. My goodness. It's absolutely crazy.
They're obviously getting ratings because that's why they're continuing to do it. If nobody was watching, they'd change to something else. But I guess we've indoctrinated everybody so much and scared everybody so much that everybody's just like, oh, please tell me everything that's going on. I need to know because I'm so scared. Rather than just going, using a little common sense and saying, this really isn't that big a deal unless you're old or sick.
If that be the case, people ought to do your shopping for you. But here's something else. Now, we discussed this last episode about, there's going to be some food issues. Just heads up. Go ahead, go get you some extra meat. Throw it in the freezer. No big deal. Well, guess what? They must have been listening to our show, because now this is from Yahoo Finance. U.S. reels toward meat shortages, and the world may be next. Oh, my gosh. It's not just going to be us starving, but the world. Which I thought they were already starving anyway.
I told you I'm eating those goats.
You what?
I told you I'm eating those goats.
Yeah. Plant shutdowns are leaving the U.S. dangerously close to meat shortages as coronavirus outbreaks now spread to suppliers across the Americas. Almost a third of U.S. pork capacity is down. The big poultry plants closed on Friday, and experts are warning that domestic shortages are just weeks away. Brazil, the world's #1 shipper of chicken and beef, saw its major closure with the halt of a poultry plant owned by JBS Space SA, the world's biggest meat company. The key operations also are down in Canada, the latest being a British Columbia poultry plant. While hundreds of plants in the Americas are still running, the staggering acceleration of supply disruptions is now raising the questions over global shortfalls. Taken together, the U.S., Brazil, and Canada account for 65% of world meat trade. Now, and Brett Stewart, president of Denver-based consulting firm Global AgriTrend, says it's absolutely unprecedented. It's a lose-lose situation where we have a procedure at the risk of losing everything and consumers at the risk of paying higher prices. Restaurants in a week could be out of fresh ground beef. The world may never be the same again. Now, I'm going to switch over here to Daily UK. Tyson Foods, I think was that yesterday he did this? Tyson Food chairman warns the food supply chain is breaking and millions of pounds of meat will fail to reach stores after plants across the country close due to Kung flu outbreak. They didn't say Kung flu, I did, but that's okay. Hold on, let me make this little ad go away so I can read. The chairman of Tyson Foods warned Sunday that this food supply chain is breaking after Kung flu outbreaks forced the closure of their plants. John Tyson said millions of pounds of meat will fail to reach stores, and there will be a limited supply of our products available at grocery stores until they are able to reopen the facilities currently closed. It comes after it was announced 2 million chickens will be killed in Delaware and Maryland because of lack of employees at processing plants. Now, this is what we said last time we were talking. Get meat now. Now they're starting to talk about it in the mainstream media, which means everybody's going to run out there. Forget the toilet paper, Martha. Grab the meat this time. If they just shut up, quit sensationalizing everything, I think we'll be okay. But now everybody's going to be making a run for the meat.
Now, this is because they don't have enough employees, or these people are getting sick? Is that the problem?
Yeah, that's what they're saying, is they're shutting down because, they work in close proximity to one another. Mm-hmm. They carpool together, depending on who it is. I mean, a lot of migrants, illegals work in these places. And so they cram themselves in, like we talked about, I think, week before last. They cram themselves into trailers and apartments and whatnot, so it goes around. They get sick.
All right, that's fine, understandable, but we do have a huge unemployment problem in this country now all of a sudden, so why don't those people go and work in those jobs?
Because they're getting paid to stay home.
Well, there you go.
Why would they?
Daddy government's taking care of them already.
That's right. So it doesn't matter. But it's not just affecting our food. And you know, they're shutting down pork. Well, you think to yourself, well, I don't eat pork anyway. Well, guess what? Whatever it is you do eat is going to get drastically more expensive because everybody's going to run to other meats.
Well,
you think, well,
I was just going to say, I'll tell you one thing. If there ain't no bacon, some heads are going to roll.
oh, I understand. I read something today that said you may want to go out there and get you an extra couple of pounds of bacon because, you know, the pork industry is going to take a turn for the worst. And but here is something else. It's not just affecting our food. You know, colleges. Kids go to school for 4 years, some 7 or 8 years to get a bachelor's degree. But anyway, you eventually graduate. And one of the things to look forward to is putting on the cap and gown and, you know, trotting on down there, sitting. Well, they can't do that because social distancing. So now they're doing it on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you're one of those people. You know who I'm talking about, too. If you look down at your skin, look down at your lap, you'll know if you're one of those people. College commencement ceremonies are something that students look forward to for 4 years. For the class of 2020, unfortunately, those commencement ceremonies are going to have to wait, given the prohibitions on mass gatherings and the like. There are virtual ceremonies, of course. If you attend St. Olaf College in Minnesota, you can, in fact, take part in one of these digital ceremonies, provided, of course, you're not straight, white, and male.
Well, does the story say why, if you're straight, white, and male, you can't come or go or be part of it?
No, it's obvious that the straight white male people are evil. They're the ones that destroyed the world and all that kind of stuff. You've read this crap. According to Campus Reform, the liberal arts school will be hosting virtual ceremonies for minority students at the college, but will postpone commencement itself until 2020. In an email, the school said that self-identified domestic students of color, international students, and LGBTQIA plus students will have their own separate virtual ceremonies based on the groups they have self-identified as. Those three groups.
If you are a white male and you're going to a liberal arts school, you do not deserve to have a degree.
You're probably not straight. Those three groups would be students of color, LGBT students, and international students. All the rest of you, suck eggs. The Taylor Center, judging by its website, is your typical campus institution that serves the primary purpose of reinforcing negative stereotypes about today's college students. By some description, it's there to walk with you and celebrate your awesomeness factor. What the hell is that? Your awesomeness factor.
It's all about feelings.
Okay. My gosh. So even college kids are being affected by this Kung flu. But they're being catered to unless they're a straight white male. Now, how does that, I mean, I know it's, wait, was that public, St. Olaf's, is that a public school? Does it get state funding?
I don't know. But how come the NAACP is not all over this already?
Why would the NAACP be on it?
Well, aren't they restricting people's rights?
NAACP is National Advancement of Colored People.
Oh, who am I thinking of?
I think you're thinking of ACLU.
There you go, ACLU.
UCLJ.
Yeah, there you go. That's what I was thinking of. But, yeah, when they're saying one group can do this because of the color of their skin or their religion or whatever, and another group can't, that seems like somebody with a law degree should step in and go, wait a second. That's not how things work.
You would think. But since how, well, ACL, is it Jay Sokoloff, his organization, why don't they tackle this? They should tackle this.
Well, they should.
I mean, if it's a private school, that's one thing. If they take any money from the government, then they can't do this. Well, obviously, they are doing it, but legally they can't. Back to that pesky law shit. Stuff. So anyway.
Well, all right.
There?
Yeah, going back to the whole thing, like I said, this weekend everybody was out at the beaches, and there was some protests out at some of the beaches, and the cops arrested a few people for going onto the beach and this and that. But I'm just trying to gather this in my head. It makes my head hurt thinking about this stuff. But it's like, I don't know. I guess I understand on one side that the state doesn't own the beaches, but they maintain them. So if they say it's not safe for you to be here right now, I guess I can understand having to listen to that. But they don't. The state doesn't own everything. So I guess what I'm saying is, if they want to go ahead and close the beaches because they maintain them, that's one thing. But to tell another business you can't be open, I don't know. There's something's just not jiving right with me on that.
Well, the thing about this to me is, I mean, I don't know the quality of the water there. I can imagine it's not as clean as maybe the Gulf of Mexico in certain places because there's so many cities. You know, but you get outside, you go to the beach, you get in sunshine, you get in exercise. Doesn't that do good for the immune system?
Well, yeah, and not only that, we just are finding out too that being in the sunlight kills the virus. So why wouldn't they want people to go outside? Like being in a a house with your lights off and everything closed up, that you got a more chance of getting it that way than if you're out, say, walking on a trail and you pass somebody from 6 feet. Chances are you're not going to get it.
Right.
But they want control, so they are trying to control what they can. They can't control you in the house, at least not yet. So if you go in there, you're safe, I guess. But I don't know. This whole thing's very concerning to me because I guess more so because so many people are just okay to go along with it. I mean, I'm proud of those people that are going out and protesting and going, no, I'm not going to do this. Because the government does have the right to, make these policies and stuff like that. But when they overstep those bounds, we have the right to dismantle them. And I think
is that code for something?
Yeah, for the what do they call that? The electric boogaloo.
Yeah.
No, but
yeah.
I mean, we have a right to say no. You have taken it too far, so you either need to walk it back or you need to leave.
So the question is, how long is it going to be before, as a whole, America says, you know what, stuff it?
Well, for me personally, I'm going. What are we? May 1st. I'm just going to go about my business. I'm going to do what I got to do. And if they want to ticket me or take me to jail, then that's fine.
Well, I'm down with it. I agree. I'm going to do the same. Wait a minute. I've been doing that anyway.
Well, I pretty much have been too, but I just I don't know. There's just I really wish more people felt like me and would just be like, okay, enough already. We're just gonna, because what are they gonna ticket everybody? If we just went out and started living life, what are they gonna do? I could just see them on TV. You need to listen to us. We're telling, and just nobody's paying attention. That would be awesome.
It would be. Gavin would have his little skirt all wadded up in front of him, whining. Yeah.
Throw a mouse in front of him, watch him jump on the chair.
Yeah. So anyway, people, stop taking it. Do as we do. Be rebels.
Well, yeah, and at the very least, question it. I mean, you watch these news conferences and stuff, and I mean, Trump they'll hammer all day long, but any of the rest of these governors and stuff, they say, well, we're going to do this for this reason, and nobody questions it. They just go, oh, okay. I mean, we need to start questioning this stuff. Say, no, give me a reason. Give me a good, valid reason why you're doing this. And if it's not good enough, say, nope, not good enough. Try again.
You know what I'd like to know, and this is something that's been bugging me. I might have mentioned it. Why is it? I mean, I understand the president. He does the daily briefing. Well, he's not doing it anymore because he's just sick and tired of the media. But, okay, he's the president of the country. Since when did governor of New York become the governor of the country?
I haven't seen that, but I've heard he's been on TV pretty much every day.
Every day he's doing his briefing, and every day the news channels cover his stupid briefing.
Well,
and I don't understand it.
Well, and you know what? And that is another layer to this onion. New York is different than, say, Wyoming. Yet that the steps they're taking is, well, kind of like I said in California, they're enacting the same things in Wyoming that they are in New York, which is not necessary. Because there's not
Doesn't even begin to make sense.
Yeah, there's not as many people there. They don't have as many cases, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, maybe New York needs to have a little more, I don't want to say clamp down, but a little more regulation or I even hate saying that because it shouldn't, but there's just more people there, so there's going to be more outbreaks of the virus.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I can't. I have such a hard time wrapping my head around the way they're handling this.
And then they wonder why everybody thinks there's something behind all this.
Yeah. Well, they're, to giving you half truths and tell you one thing and then change it the next day when the truth comes out. But another thing too about that, like Wyoming and New York or Northern California and Southern California, I think the reason they're just doing a blanket sort of, okay, everybody has to go by this. I think it's because it's the lazy way to govern. They don't want to do the hard work of actually going, okay, well, we got to figure this out here. And over there, they can pretty much handle themselves.
Well, why can't everybody do that anyway? I mean,
well, that's true.
Why is the state going to say we as a state are going to be on lockdown? Well, I kind of like the idea of politicians being on lockdown, but let's say my county, we got 25 cases, but then again, you can't even trust that. We have 25 cases, 0 deaths. Well, that's good. The county to our west has got 99. Wow. Okay. We don't need to do the same way as that county does. And then the one to the south of us has like 80. What are we doing in my town or my county different than the rest of these people? Maybe they ought to pay attention to us, but from county to county, community to community, we don't need the government telling us, as you say, a blanket statement saying this is what you need to do. Well, you know what? I don't need the government thinking for me.
No, I mean, if they want to give recommendations and say, hey, we think you'll be safest if you do X, Y, and Z, take the information for what it's worth and do what you think you got to do. That would be fine with me. In fact, that's what I think their role is.
Mm-hmm.
But
everybody's expecting Trump to do something about it, which, again, we're going back to the Constitution and that kind of stuff. It's not the president's job to tell the entire country to lock down or not lock down or whatever. As we said, state, community. That's the best. Human beings, let me guide my own path.
Yeah, I mean, really, I know he can't do it because he gets slammed for it, but really what he should have done is just come out and go, okay, we got this thing going on. Here's the recommendations from the federal government, the CDC and stuff. So we're telling you what's going on, and look to your state leaders to see what you should do. And if they need any kind of assistance or money, we'll see what we can do and try to help. That's basically what they should have done.
No, you just brought up a very, you reminded me of something. State's going to go bankrupt, they say. And they demand, Pelosi says this next relief package is going to be for money going to states that are going bankrupt. Wait a minute, hold on. Wait, you people, I got Rush Limbaugh in trouble, but I'm going to say it. You people, you're the ones that created the problem that we're facing. You told all the businesses to stop doing business. And now, you're going to say that me in Alabama, I have to pay for New York City? This is not the way it's supposed to work. No. You can't take my money and put it somewhere else, another state. That's not the way it's supposed to work. We only call it the common good. That's not what the Constitution meant. You can't, this is thievery. Anyway, I feel better now.
Well,
I've vented.
Well, all right, maybe a final note on this, and again, peeling back the onion that this whole coronavirus COVID-19 thing is. Just a little perspective. I think in California, if I remember the number right, there's almost 4,000 car crashes or car deaths from car crashes a day. Now, how many deaths do we have from this a day? Usually in the teens, 20s, something like that. But we have 4,000 car crashes and deaths here in California a day, and nobody says a word. I mean,
I will pull it up.
Well, and that's the deal. You take that inherent risk every time you walk out your door and get in the car. which is exactly what people should be doing with this virus. If you want to take the risk and go out there and go to your job and go to the store and that's your choice. But if you don't, that's fine too. You can take the recommendation and stay in your house and hide and cuddle with the dog or whatever it is you do. I mean, just remember, you can love your dog. You just can't love your dog. Just a little piece of advice for some of you. But we take this kind of risks every day. I mean, whether it's getting hit by a bus or driving a car and getting in a car accident or being mugged and shot or getting a virus or whatever. We take the risks every day. So I don't see why this one thing we should all have to hunker down and be scared little rabbits when we do it every day anyway.
I'm looking at the little app here. So far, we've had 56,618 deaths from the Kung flu, and it changed today by 1,224.
So that's nationwide.
That's nationwide.
So
on your side, yes.
Say 18 months ago on any given day, we had more car crashes and deaths than we did today from coronavirus.
Right.
I don't get it. I guess what I don't get is why so many people, I think I've already said this, are just okay with it and saying, okay, and not questioning these things.
They're not told to question. They're told to listen to, the news media and just turn off your brain. Don't think. Just let it all come over you like a big wave of blue light.
Yeah, and that does worry me because I thought more people were free thinkers and would at least sort of, have a limit where they would start questioning things and start sort of pushing back. But it seems like there's less of those people than there are of the scared little bunny rabbits who just say, okay, whatever you tell me to do.
Well, the people, you do the best you can. It's like driving a car like you're talking about there, your analogy. You get in the car, you put on a seatbelt, you do somewhere around the speed limit, you stop for red lights, that kind of stuff. But you can't do anything about that runaway truck that's going to slam you from behind that you don't see coming.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you did the best you can, that's the best you can do. You use hand sanitizer, you wash your hands, you stay away from people the best you can. You do the best you can. In the meantime, Sass, I think we all understand that we are quite doomed. So what do you suggest everybody do?
I suggest they drink up.
That's a good idea. And let's find something more uplifting for the next show.
And when I say drink up, I'm not talking about Kool-Aid, people. Don't drink the Kool-Aid.
That's right. All right, y'all have a good night. We'll see y'all next time.
You came down to this southern town last summer to show the